All right, so y'all were given the Steve Young assignment to go in there and compare his salary with Herschel Walker's. This article that I copied for the assignment came out of an old version of the textbook. And way back when I first was using this textbook, I actually searched around and got some information on the actual payout structure of this deal. And then I had to make up some of the other numbers, but let me describe this sort of in words and then explain how present value works. Now, several of y'all started talking about how much money it would be worth in the future. That's not present value. Present value is what it's worth today. All right, so Steve Young's contract is like $1.475 million for 4 years. And then a series of flat annuities of $200,000 for 10 years, and then rising annuities for the remainder of the 40-year period. And this is where I had to make an educated guess. I did the rising annuities and then culminating in a final $3.173 million deal. Now, these aren't necessarily specifics. I interpolated some of this, but I did find a discussion. Of course, this was 18 years ago, someplace where they discussed the cash flows. So I'm fairly comfortable this is pretty close to the deal that he actually had. All right, now at 13.5%, which is a very high discount rate, but for something as risky as payments over 40 years, that's really not that off. It's the opportunity cost of money. Now, there's nothing he could have gotten that would guarantee him 13.5%, but there are things that could average 13.5% a year. So in any event, if we're using 13.5%, we come up with a present value by taking the present value of each of the cash flows. All right, so cash flow, and we signed a deal in 1984. Let's assume that he gets paid in 1985, the first deal. So a year in the future, that would be worth a little less than $13 million today. And then the second payment, around $1.14 million today. All right, if you don't get the $1,475,000, you ain't going to get it for multiple years. Well, it's not worth 1.475 today. It's worth less. That's because if you had $888,809, you could earn interest on it, and between the 880, the 888, and the interest, you'd have $1.475 million in the future. So if we took the present value of each of these cash flows, as of 1984, $3.173 million in 2027 would have only been worth $13,698, discounted at 13.5% interest. There's an Excel function called the NPV function, which will take the present value of future cash flows when they're uneven. So whether you calculate the present value of each and then add it together, or you simply use the NPV function, either way you're going to come up with a present value of $5,586,564. Now, that's if you're using 13.5% interest. If you use a different interest rate, you come up with a different number. All right, but based on these assumptions, this is how this would work. If you took something worth $5,586,564 today and put it somewhere where it earned 13.5% interest, then that year's interest would be $754,186. And then that would leave you somewhere around $6.3 million if you withdrew $1,475,000, like as a salary at the end of that first year. Then your cash balance would drop to $1,865,750. All right, so while you took out $1.475 million, you earned about half of that in interest. All right, so the amount didn't drop that much. You start the next year with the amount you ended the last year at. Earn some interest, take out some money, and then the amount drops. However, you still got $2 million out here 4 years from now, earns $278,000. You earn more interest than you took out of the account. So it's actually going to start growing from that point on, because notice that the interest earned in each of these years is more than the $200,000. And then when you get out here, out over all the years of the contract, there is exactly enough money between the interest earning and the principal that in that last year you still have, in 2027 at the beginning of the year, you still have $2,795,595 that earns $377,405 interest, which is exactly enough to pay you $3.173 million, and then there's nothing in the account. So what this says is if the sum of these payments at roughly $40 million is the equivalent of having $5,586,000 today, that's because if you started with $586 and earned 13.5% interest, you could replicate this series of payments. Okay, now a lot of y'all were yapping about what money will be worth in the future. I don't care what it's worth in the future. I can compare $6 million today with $5.586 million today. And then that's what Donald Trump was saying. The $6 million cash up front is better than the $40 million over time, because the $40 million over time is roughly the equivalent of $5.6 million, which is less than $6 million. Now, Donald Trump was playing a little fast and loose with the numbers because it was the deal he promised Hershel Walker. But still, that's where you have some kind of basis for describing how the $6 million for Hershel is better than the $40 million for Steve Young. Time value of money, compare present values of everything.